To install Backtrack on a virtual machine, the first thing you're going to have to do is download an ISO of Backtrack. So for this, you can go to backtracklinks.org and then click on Downloads up here, and it will bring you to this page. So for this, you're going to have to choose a release of Backtrack. For this, I use the latest version, which is Backtrack 5 revision 3. The window manager is pretty much what desktop environment you want. You can either use GNOME or KDE. I prefer GNOME, but again, that is personal preference. The architecture, it's really dependent on your CPU. If you have a 64-bit CPU, use 64. If you have a 32-bit or you're unsure, use 32. The image type, you're only going to have ISO unless you choose GNOME and 64, in which case you have VMware. However, I have 64, and you probably should use ISO anyways. The download type is a standard download is direct, which means when you click to download, it'll start the download of the ISO, or torrent, which is a torrent file. If you know how to use torrents, use torrents. I already have this downloaded, so we're going to go into VMware Tools, and we're going to click Create a New Virtual Machine. Now you're going to have to use the install the operating system later, because these two will actually confuse VMware. If you do that, the version is actually going to be other than other 64-bit, or if you have the 32-bit version, just other. You can name it whatever you want. For this, I will just use Backtrack. The hard drive space you should give it is 22 gigs, and leave it at multiple files. Now, if you customize the hardware, you need to give it at least half your memory. So I have 4 gigabytes of memory, so I'll give it 2 gigabytes. Half of your number of processors. I have a dual core, so I'm only going to give this one of it. And then that should be it for the hardware. Oh, actually, now if you go to the virtual machine settings and go to CD-DVD and set it to use an ISO image file, browse to wherever you save Backtrack. In my case, it's local disk E, operating systems, tools Linux, and then Backtrack 5. Hit OK, and then play the virtual machine. Alright, so at this screen here, you can just push enter. It's asking you what you want to boot. There's only one thing to boot. So from here, you want to try the default boot text mode. If it doesn't work, well, I honestly don't know, but so you wait for the Linux kernel to load, which can take a while. Any day now. Hello. Alright, once the Linux kernel is loaded, you're going to start the X window manager by typing start X. This will load the GUI environment. Eventually. Right, now from here you can either test Backtrack, but as you're on a virtual machine, there's not really a point to that. So you double click the install Backtrack icon. Then when that loads, you're going to select what language you want and click forward. Time zone. Should auto detect the time zone, but your keyboard layout, if you know what that is, it's probably the suggested option. But and because this is an empty hard drive, you can leave it as yours and use the entire hard disk. Then from here, you got pretty much, you can just leave all this, it's information. And then from here, you just wait for it to install. Okay, now that the installation is finished, which you'll see took only about 15 minutes, you can either continue testing or restart. I would just continue testing and then restart from within the backtrack. If you go system, shut down, and restart. And it's this takes quite a bit. Oh, you do actually have to remove the installation media now I think about it. So if you go to removable devices, it's already removed, so never mind. Then push enter. So the Linux kernel will load again. Alright, and then the login is going to be root, and then the password is Tor. So you start X again. Alright, so the install backtrack you can actually move to trash and then delete from trash. I don't actually remember how you do this, but go to the home folder and trash. You can delete that. And now you have a working version of Backtrack. Here you have all the programs. Yeah, that's it.